The Dauntless. Oh, wonderful. So our predictions were completely accurate, Admiral Cistern notes. More or less, sir. Granted, the worst-case scenarios we sent the men into on the simulations did not happen, but there was a more or less total outbreak of hostilities between the gangs. Private Stream answers, and Admiral Cistern thinks. How responsible is Project Phoenix Fire? He asks. If you listen to the man's own reports, he's responsible for everything from the Hindenburg to last night's unrest to the sinking of the Titanic. He'd fit original sin in there as well if he thought we were a big enough sucker for it. At worst, all our man did was accelerate an incredibly volatile situation. To him, the gangs being almost impossible to infiltrate and unwilling to even contemplate bringing someone new in meant they were defensive and stable. What it really meant is that each gang was hyper-paranoid and just looking for an excuse. Whatever he did was at most the straw that broke the camel's back. For someone who claims intelligence, it's rather stupid of him to miss that. He is intelligent, but he has an ego, sir, a big one. He's been at the sidelines of society and judging the movements of peoples for centuries, growing contemptuous and disdainful over everyone. He has learned a lot and is very capable, but he's so cynical and dismissive of others, he always settles on his first assumption and never leaves it. Sometimes it's right, other times it's far from it. It's how we were able to jump on him so easily. He was so convinced that his safe house was undetectable. But to be honest, he's not all that good at hiding them. The ones he set up on level 8 we've had to cover up further. I see. What's your assessment of him? We've observed him in action. He's vicious, opportunistic, and patient. Fine traits in a field agent if we can carve away his arrogance, complete apathy to the death and suffering of others, and outright scorn for the mental capacity of other people. He might make a decent person. Unfortunately, he seems to think we only have control of him because we got lucky. And while he knows some ways to get us to do what he wants us to, he can't seem to understand that we're perfectly aware of what he's doing. So you're saying the man needs to be humbled? Admiral Cistern asks. Yes, sir. I'm not comfortable setting people up for humiliations and possible torture, Admiral Cistern says politically. There's little, if any, need for that, sir. He's already had his first taste of humility. He nearly died in the pursuit of the goals last night and has learned quite clearly that our insistence that all agents on the field wear at least a low-profile armored vest is a very well-reasoned and intelligent idea. Private Stream explains, and Admiral Cistern huffs somewhat in amusement. How bad was it? Point-blank plasma shot. It melted through the first metal layer of the plate, burnt the first ceramic layer, slagged the second metal layer and cooked the second ceramic layer, and then heated up the final metal layer red hot. This saved his life as it was right over his heart. So our design works even with point-blank plasma shots? Admiral Cistern asks. Yes, sir, but it will only take one shot at point-blank range, and only from a low-yield weapon. If his opponent had a plasma rifle, then we would have a very dead Carib to deal with. Private Stream answers. It'll do for now, but we'll need to keep R&D on it, Admiral Cistern notes. Then a coffee mug is placed to his left by another Private Stream, and a third steps up to put a small tray of donuts next to it. You're getting good at this. Sir? Thank you, sir. The Streams reply just before the door opens and Ambassador Nick Tatal walks in and pauses. She then takes a big, meaty pinch out of her thigh and blinks. No, this isn't some strange fetish dream. Fetish dream? Admiral Cistern asks as she walks in and the Private Streams vanish. Oh, going airtight and still needing to use my hands for something. She answers and his eyebrows go up. Oh, like you haven't had little dreams of a horde of bouncy green sisters doing every nasty little thing with every part of ourselves, Ambassador Tal says, and there's a faint pink blush across Admiral Cistern's face. There's a blush. I know I got you. She saunters fully into the room with the secretary outside looking in with wide eyes. A stern glance from Admiral Cistern has the door closed as Ambassador Tal smiles. So, new recruits are nearly finished, she says, walking up, a distinctive bounce to her bottom with every step. Yes. Soon to take the oath of the undaunted. She continues as she hops up onto his desk and he stands so she doesn't completely tower over him. She still bends over to give him a very good look into her cleavage. Big cunning man is getting the sons and daughters of Centris loyal to him and his ways. I do what I can. He is very aware that the glistening black gloss over her lips not only matches her hair, but from the way her tongue flicks over it, she clearly either likes the taste or is eager to put it to use. And I'd like to do something I can. How open is your schedule? She asks, and he pokes a button on his desk. Free up my next 2 hours, he orders his secretary. Before the confirmation comes, he's already contending with Ambassador Tal's tongue in his mouth. Sir, you have a, Dr. Samuel says as he sees Admiral Cistern enter and notices the black smear on his jaw. Then he spots Ambassador Tal applying more black lipstick and smacking her lips together. I'm aware, Admiral Cistern states. You wanted to see me? Yes, sir. This way, please, Dr. Samuel states, not mentioning that he had expected to see the Admiral an hour ago. It's no mystery what's going on, not in the slightest. We have had several interesting tests, and the initial trials with the hologram technology have proven very successful, coupled with the prediction algorithms, and we're ready much sooner than expected when it comes to releasing fully immersive AI environments. I saw the training programs. It looked fairly well done already. Somewhat, we're adapting entertainment systems to do this, sir. We didn't have any real psychological profiles or proper interaction integration beyond being injured and needing assistance or up and fighting. So you're saying the test lacked the ability to include diplomacy and intimidation as options? Admiral Cistern notes. Just be careful with this tech. The synthetic ascendants often protest if you make a character in games like this too realistic, Nikta says, and Admiral Cistern looks at her in confusion. Well, think about it. Who plays those games more or better? They get way too involved in them, and there's more than one case where they've accidentally copied bits of themselves into it and had digital kids that way. Lots of fun scandals. The particular pronunciation of fun spoke volumes. Anything you'd like to get off your chest? Admiral Cistern asks. But I just got the bra back on, she states, and he rolls his eyes. But no, just typically whine. Oh, your new holo complex might have the programming required for this or that, and it can be abused in this or that way, and I'd rather you not have something than there be any risk at all that any citizen of mine get caught doing something they shouldn't. Sore subject? Annoying subject. Brule is a frontier world. We need less regulations to thrive, not more. Also, it's not like we actually listen, but then some paper pusher comes screaming into my office and threatens sanctions they can't enforce or trade embargoes with nations and polities that aren't trading with Brule to begin with, and it's just so annoying. Those types, Admiral Cistern says sympathetically. Unfortunately necessary. Nitpickers are annoying, but needed, preferably where there's a lot of nits to pick. Nitpicker? Nitpicker? An interesting way to describe the pedantic, detail-obsessed, and idiotic. That's basically what it means. Someone who focuses on unimportant details to the detriment of everything else. As fascinating as the linguistic conversation is, I do have some more for you than just the holo training updates. By all means, Admiral Cistern states, and Dr. Samuel looks quickly to Ambassador Tal and then turns to lead them in. As you know, we have been studying many differing types of weapons. So many, in fact, that many soldiers have taken to using compressed space techniques to carry their entire armories in the equivalent of cigarette cases. This has been a very useful stopgap method and one I heartily encourage continued use of. But the issue is that there are numerous axiom effects which can and will cause such things to effectively detonate. A disruption of the expanded space finds a soldier quickly buried in their concealed armory. Dr. Samuel explains. Have you found a solution? We are working on a morphic weapon prototype. It is incredibly null vulnerable, but unlike many other null vulnerable techniques, it's merely disabled rather than destroyed when disrupted. Dr. Samuel says. How did you do that? Is it carved in Kutha? Ambassador Tal asks. Lined with Kutha, Ambassador. We have an aluminum frame that has carved out areas lined with a thin Kutha layer. This keeps the device lightweight and effective. Dr. Samuel states as he leads them into a weapons range. Being operated by a scientist are several weapons in two different clear configurations. A long-range laser and a short-range plasma spread burst. Meet the Mark I shift rifle. Currently, it has two modes. A short-range plasma burst that spreads out in a cone 5 meters long and 3 wide, and a medium-range burn laser effective out to 20 meters. It can freely shift between the two configurations, and the shifting feature even works in axiom-poor environments. I see, Admiral Cistern says, taking up the weapon. How does it work? Is it this small lever on the side? Yes, you pull it out to unlock the shifting. Shift it to the desired configuration and then push it in to lock it again. The weapon will not fire while unlocked. Smart safety feature. One we implemented a little too late. I have a scientist in medical for the rest of the day. Dr. Samuel states, I wasn't informed about any injuries. First-degree burn and nerves, sir. We've had worse coffee spills. He's getting some ointment and a day out of the lab to calm down before he really hurts himself. Dr. Samuel explains, and Admiral Cistern frowns a little as he shifts the weapon into another configuration. There's a red aura around it now. Red is the plasma burst. Yellow is burn laser, Dr. Samuel states. It's a little clunky. The change was slow and required a bit more force than expected. We're working on that, sir. Right now, the best way around that is to give the muzzle a swing while it shifts, Dr. Samuel advises. And light up half the room? No thank you, Doctor. Admiral Cistern says, pulling the weapon into its laser configuration. Still, this will take a slight bite out of the sheer size of armories that our boys are lugging around. Our eventual hope is to get all formats of energy weapons stacked onto a single stock. Couple that with a pistol, a knife, and their armor, and our boys will be ready for just about any minor skirmish the galaxy over without the risk that an axiom disruption will render someone vulnerable or your munitions easily stolen, Dr. Samuel says. Still, I think we'll go with a hybrid style. Easily modified weapons in arm's reach, but still having a moderate to large number of weapons to increase the firepower and versatility. So more Doom Eternal than Jack and Daxter, Dr. Samuel asks, and Admiral Cistern just blinks at him. Video game references, sir. Doom Eternal? What kind of game is that? Ambassador Tal asks. One unimaginably angry super soldier against an unending horde of demons, and the demons are rightfully terrified of him, Dr. Samuel explains. I want to play that, Ambassador Tal says with a big smile. It shouldn't be too hard to do that, Admiral Cistern replies. Can we? Private Stream pointedly does not laugh as he brings in the latest report of what Moriarty is up to. It's rather difficult as Ambassador Tal has embraced her inner gremlin and is sitting on the floor with a game system set up and giggling like a lunatic while she glory kills a Baron of Hell. Thank you, Private Stream, Admiral Cistern says as he takes the paperwork. The man had clearly just finally had a moment to sip his coffee, and here he was with more work. You're welcome, sir.